All right, everybody. Here in a second, we have a nice presentation from Rocketman about Command Center 2.0. Please welcome to the stage, Chris and Patrick from Rocketman. A round of applause. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. It's so exciting to be back at JNUC. It's so cool to see everyone in person in this remote world that we work in. You got the clicker, Patrick?
Yeah.
Go to the next slide. Today we're going to talk about Rocketman Command Center, a utility for Jamf admins. If you've seen some of our previous presentations, we got some fun surprises for you because we are releasing today version 2.0 on our GitHub. I think it's live, Patrick, right?
It is indeed.
We made it live last night, so if you go on our GitHub, you're able to see that. Can you go? Actually, give me that clicker, because I got the early slides here. As mentioned before, my name is Chris. I'm the owner of Rocketman, and with me is Patrick. He's our director of product and development that has made this amazing tool possible. Quick note about us, we're Rocketman Tech. We're an Apple-only, Jamf-only MSP. We help people with their Jamf servers, but enough about us. We also want to give a quick shout out to our Launchpad community. Can I get people, I know this is awkward, can I get people to stand up if you've been to Launchpad? I want to see our Launchpad members here. Okay, great. We got a fun little surprise for you because I have some extra Rocketman shirts from last year. Patrick, do we have any extra larges from the Launchpad community that want a shirt? We've got one right here in front. Joseph English, the Voice Award. And then we got it looks like he's going to Tom. Sorry, Joseph. You got an Amazon gift card last time. Do we have any larges?
Here you go.
From the Launchpad community. We have a couple larges to give away. And while he's passing those out, just want to talk about Launchpad. This is a monthly meetup we do the first Friday of every month. It's completely remote. So come join. You can sign up here. We've got an amazing community. And do we have any mediums in the crowd? Because I know I have some medium shirts. Let's hand out some of those mediums. These are limited edition Rocketman shirts. These weren't available for the community before, and they are now because I have to go on a plane and I do not have room in my suitcase. All right, I'm going to make you guys stand up again. So before we get into it, we just want to get a poll from the audience. Who has heard of Rocketman or Launchpad? Stand up if you've heard of it. Let's stand up. Let's get out of our chairs. If you really can't stand up, raise your hand. That's fine. Okay, keep standing, keep standing. I want you to sit down keep standing if you've heard of Rocketman Command Center specifically. If you haven't, go ahead and sit down. Getting a poll for the audience, perfect. Keep standing if you're currently using or have used in the past Rocketman Command Center. Currently using it? Okay, great. So this gives us a pretty good poll of the audience. You can all sit down now. Thanks so much for participating. All right, today we're going to go over what Rocketman Command Center is for all of you that don't know what it is, the benefits of using a tool like Rocketman Command Center, and lastly, an overview of the tools available with Rocketman Command Center. On the bottom, we have a link to our GitHub, rkmn.tech/RCC. It's going to be on throughout the presentation. Go there, check it out if you want to fool around with it during our presentation. So what is Rocketman Command Center? Well, this is a command line utility with over 15 tools for Jamf admins that can be deployed through Jamf Pro. This is something we built because we had a bunch of bash scripts that we were managing internally, and it became a huge pain point for us. So we created this Swift app that made it a lot easier to manage all these tools that we were deploying to our Jamf servers. So this is deployed through a package, configured through a configuration profile, and executed through a policy. I should also say this is built specifically for Jamf and can only be used with Jamf. So if you have another MDM, I'm sorry. We build this specifically for Jamf so that it's easier to use for everyone that has Jamf. This is a list of all the tools that we have available. And the way it works is we put all these tools into one easy-to-use package where we can deploy and update all these tools. So why should I use Rocketman Command Center? Why should you use it? Well, there are some benefits to it that we want to talk about. If you were looking at these tools, you might have seen, hey, there's a lot of them in there that I might already be using or that exist on other GitHub pages and stuff like that. So kind of three main reasons you might want to use Rocketman Command Center: convenience, customizability, and security. So as I mentioned before, this can all be updated in one package. You don't need to update a bunch of bash scripts all over the place. If you want to update it, if you want to deploy it, it's just one easy-to-use package. These can all be configured through policy parameters or managed configuration profiles. And we have some JSON schemas you can use too, just to keep it a little bit more on rails and easy to use. And it's built to specifically be used with Jamf groups, inventory, API clients, and extension attributes. So because it's built for Jamf specifically, allows us to do a lot of cool customizability that we wouldn't be able to if we were trying to make it MDM agnostic. Also highly customizable. You know, being Jamf MSPs, we understand that customizability is very important. People have crazy use cases, and we embrace all those. So we try to build that customizability into each of these tools. And then last, security. So one of the things is we're using native technologies for this. Version 2.0 is built entirely in Swift. It uses Swift UI, we use the keychain, and we use the Jamf binary when possible. You know, as Apple and Jamf updates, we celebrate. So we're always patching based on the latest Apple and Jamf updates. So that's what you can expect from us. It's not going to be a tool that hasn't been updated for 3 or 4 years. We're updating this once a week or every couple weeks, it seems like, sometimes a couple times a week. And last but not least, we have a really cool tool we're going to announce today, the ability to encrypt API credentials. But before I get into it, I want to talk about why this is important. So history of securing API credentials in Jamf Pro. This has been the bane of my existence for the last 10 years. So when I started in 2015, this is how I learned to add API credentials to a computer through Jamf Pro. So if you deploy a script through Jamf Pro, some of you may know this, some of you may not. It is deployed in plain text to the computer. So if you deploy any API credentials, all the user needs to do on the computer is just do cat and then library application support, Jamf temp, and the name is script, and you can get the username and password that was deployed in that script. So obviously, not secure at all. So we've done different ways of trying to secure this by obscuring it with base64, which is a laughable way of securing it because all the user needs to do is decode it using the exact code that's in the script, right? And they're able to get the username and password. Not any more secure. You can obscure it with encryption. I don't think anyone does this, but I learned it way back in like 2016 in a Jamf course. It's the same thing though. It's giving you all the stuff you need in that script in order to decrypt it. Now, a better way, obviously, is putting those API credentials into policy parameters, so $4, $5. This is great, but I think unbeknownst to most admins, it's not really that much more secure, because all the user needs to do is run PS auth, and they are able to get those credentials. So this is the output of that while Jamf is running. And if you look at this, we've got our username and password right there in plain text. So it doesn't really obscure it much more. You can also use a combination of this and base64, which is typically what we've done in the past. It's just security through obscurity. It's not actually encrypted. It's still in plain sight for the user to see. A much better way, which we talked about at a lot of our meetups, is using a webhook. So basically, you take the part of the Jamf script that's doing the API call, put it into a different server, like a Lambda share, that's able to do all those operations so the credentials don't go to the computer. There's two problems with this. One, it's kind of complicated to set up. It's not that complicated, but it does take some time. You have to set up a Lambda share or make.com account. It's a little bit of a pain. But you're also making this publicly accessible. So now the user can, or someone who doesn't even have access to any of your computers or your environment, can do some brute force attacks to try to get information from your computer. In this case, all they're getting is an asset tag, but in other situations, they might be able to get more sensitive information. So not a great workaround either. In summary, we have hard coding the credentials into there. The problem with that is they're deployed in plain text. We can encode it with base64. That's easy to decode with base64. You can use policy parameters, but they can be captured easily using PS auth. Lastly, you can use a webhook, but that makes it publicly accessible. So what are we talking about today that's a solution to this? Well, using the application we've created, we can actually encrypt the credentials in a way that the user cannot get it by deploying an actual encrypted string to the computer. So these are easy to encrypt, which you'll see in a second using our Encrypt tool. We can deploy the encrypted credentials through policy parameters or through a managed config, and you can rest assured that the API keys are secure. To get a chance to see how this looks, I'm going to hand it off to Patrick to show how it can be used with one of our tools.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, so first we're going to use Edit User Profile here, which is one of our tools inside of RCC. This allows users to easily update their information in the Jamf inventory record. There we go. So in the terminal, you're going to pull up Rocketman. You're going to use the Encrypt tool, pass in that client secret, and it'll spit back out the encrypted value, which is right here. A Jamf admin will grab that, copy and paste it into their configuration profile. So here you can see we have a JSON schema to make populating this information a little bit easier. We've pasted in the regular client ID and the encrypted client secret. Side note, you can also encrypt the client ID, but in this case we didn't, just to show you a bit of the flexibility. The tool can work with both instances. Edit User Profile also allows you to customize a few more things like the title, the subtitle, the description, customize it with your logo, and so on and so forth. You can also require certain fields as well. So here we're going to go ahead and quickly create our policy. We'll create a files and processes payload in order to execute the command on the device. That way we can invoke that binary. And the user will get this GUI here with the required fields, asterisks, and then the other information there if need be. So Edit User Profile allows you to customize the title and subtitle, create a description, define what values you want to pull from the user, entry fields, extension attributes, and of course the client ID and client secret in order to get that information. Now, also you do need that in order to get information like buildings, departments, and so on for the user to pick from. And as with all of our tools, you can customize the dialog with the icon, the width and height. You will see that's a common trend here with all of our tools.
Yeah, the cool thing about this is all you need to do is give it the client ID, client secret, and specify that you want building, departments, and sites. It's able to pull those down and send them to Jamf Pro without having to configure exactly what your sites and buildings are, right? It's just pulling it from Jamf Pro. Makes it a lot easier.
And another tool we have here is temporary admin. So it's pretty hard to guess what this does, but it grants the users temporary admin rights. It's pretty neat. It gives you a button in self-service so the user can just go ahead and give themselves admin privileges when need be. So we can see here, I made this video a little bit too slow, but we've configured a few options in our configuration profile. The action is to promote the user for a duration in that time field of 1 minute. We've customized the prompt to ask the reason why they need that temporary privilege or that administrative privilege. And we also scope the user to a temporary admin static group. So here we've defined the group from which to remove the user so that way that option is removed from their self-service GUI as well. And in order to do so, we do need the client ID and client secret. Here we can see the user's been scoped to that static group. And we've created a files and processes payload to invoke the tool. We've also specified that we want some noisy logs to make it pretty informational. And we've defined the domain to specify the correct configuration profile we want the tool to pull options from. Here we've created a policy and scoped it to the temporary admin static group. And of course, made it available in self-service. The user now is currently a standard user. In self-service, they're going to go ahead and click that option for temporary admin, and they'll be given a pop-up menu to justify their reasoning. In this case, it's to show off to the JNUC crowd, of course. And then once they hit send, they'll be presented with this dialog box counting down their admin period. So we're going to go ahead and reopen the users and groups settings panel to show that the user is now an admin. And then through some voodoo magic video editing, we'll speed this up here. And reopening users and groups, we'll then see the user has been demoted back down to standard once that period has elapsed. So pretty complex concept, of course not. Now, since they've been removed from the static group, the self-service option has also been removed.
Yeah, so this is a on-demand example of this tool, or on-request example, I should say. You can also do it on demand. The reason we're removing it from the static group is a lot of IT admins don't want everyone to have temporary admin access all the time. They have to call the help desk, put them in that static group, and then after they run it, it removes them from that static group.
Exactly. So just a quick overview here. You can define the duration, customize the prompt for why they need admin privileges, the group from which you want to remove them, and the client ID and client secret in order to do so. Also, you can upload logs during that admin period. Chris, you had more information on that as well.
Yeah, so we have a different tool that allows you to upload Jamf logs to a different server, like a distribution point, AWS, or Google Drive, or something like that. We can utilize this to be able to upload the logs that were done during the time that the user was a temporary admin. So you can just pick files from the computer to be able to upload it to that file share. And we're looking for feedback on this too. So when you're trying to audit what the user is doing, what do you want to see on the computer? So check this out and open issues on our GitHub if you have any feedback.
Please. And of course, you can customize the dialog, as usual, icon, width and height.
Cool. And now we want to get a pulse from the room. Do you guys want to see a couple more tools, or do you want to move forward to the Q&A? So let's get a raise of hands if you want to see a couple more tools. Oh, wow. Okay.
Sweet.
Let's go for it, Patrick. They want it.
Cool. So break last admin. I'm sure a lot of us are aware of the concept of what this is, but it allows you to create that backdoor admin account so you don't get locked out. Here we're going to go ahead and create, well, first show you that the extension attribute here does not show a password being set. So we're not aware of any break last admin account that exists just yet. We're going to go ahead and run all of our policies, which will invoke our break last admin tool. And upon a refresh, we can now see that that password was created, which implies either the account already existed and the password was cycled, or the account was created because it did exist prior. Either way, that password is updated in the EA for easy access. And of course, we've gone ahead and used that account in terminal to ensure, or rather prove, that that account now exists. So break last admin gives you some customizability, as do all of our tools, username and full name, the level of visibility. Password customization is extremely feature-rich here too. So all your standard demands, right? Number of words or characters, the random password method, so on and so forth. And yeah.
And one thing I want to say, I know Jamf has a lapsed backdoor admin account as well, and if that works for you, keep using it. The auditing for that is great and something we can't do with this tool. The reason we still have this tool is customizability. 7 different password methods. With the Jamf tool, you're going to get a randomly generated 28-character string that's sometimes hard for people to talk about over the phone if they need to give it to a user. We also have the ability to not cycle it afterwards, or cycle it afterwards if you want to, and even the ability to set a static password in situations where that's required. So there are use cases for this because of that. Also, it can maintain the secure token of that account. So depending on what you need, this can have more customizability for you.
And we also have secure token sharing. So for those cases where a user doesn't have one, you need to grant them FileVault enablement. So in this case here, we can see that in the EA, we only see one user with a secure token, standard test. In a minute, we'll see that we were able to grant a new user with that. Here in the configuration profile, and once again, all these JSON schemas to make populating these configuration profiles a little bit easier are available on our GitHub. But here we've gone ahead and listed a couple of users we think have a secure token. The neat thing in this case is you can define any number of users, and the first one that has a secure token will be used to grant the users you want to have secure tokens. We also have a prompt user option here, so as a last resort, if none of those users have a secure token, you can then go bother the user with a little GUI where they'll be asked to provide their password. In the grant secure token field, you can see that we have this one user that is encoded in base 64, very secure, as Chris mentioned earlier, who will be granting the secure token to. And of course, we've gone ahead and create our files and processes payload as usual to execute the correct tool and pass in the configuration profile name. We'll go ahead and run my custom event here. And if all goes well, we'll see that the user was granted a secure token. Going back into our inventory record, we can see that new user there, the no secure token user, now has one. So it's pretty handy. We have a separate tool here called list all FileVault enabled users that you can use in an EA script to get you this information. So even if you're not using the secure token tool, you can still get this information with just that script. So as usual, you can go ahead and configure this with a Lapse account, username and password that is base 64 encoded, or as a last resort, you can prompt the user. A neat thing is if you don't know who has a secure token, but let's say you have 10 accounts on the device, you can go ahead and define all 10 of those accounts as people who potentially have secure tokens. And then you can redefine those same 10 accounts as people you want to grant secure tokens to. That way you guarantee all those accounts end up having one at the end of the day. And our usual dialog customizations and additional features here are, as stated, multiple secure token holders, multiple people who want them, and especially the fact that you can pull from a Lapse account.
Yeah, we made this tool because we had customers who came in and they're like, hey, we got all these different backdoor admin accounts. We don't know which one is on the computer. We don't know what the password is, but we need our users to have a secure token so we can file vault the computers. That's pretty important. So it's like, all right, let's figure out, we're going to list as many possible combinations as we want to grant the secure token, because you need a username and password of someone that has the secure token to grant it to an EU user. And then also these different ways to grant a secure token to another backdoor admin account, or prompt the user if we need to get their username and password to grant them a secure token. And now we go back to this screen. How are you guys all feeling? Do you have energy? Do you want to see a couple more tools? Let's get a raise of hands if you want to see a couple more tools. All right, we're still got a little bit of enthusiasm. I don't think people weren't throwing them up as much as last time, but let's go forward, Patrick.
Let's do it. Cool, so app setup helper, this is something I really wanted last weekend on my personal computer. Anyway, it allows you to define a list of apps who you want screen recording privileges to be granted to. Here, we've gone ahead and defined our files and processes payload to go ahead and invoke the tool. And of course, as usual, our configuration profile. We've defined two apps here, which I believe were Zoom and Chrome. And our usual customization options, so the dialog title, message, so on and so forth. Oh, and you can define a dialog timeout, so if the user is away from their desk, it'll cancel out in 60 seconds, your choice. So, triggering our custom event, we'll see that the user is presented with this GUI, and it'll sit there waiting for the user to go ahead and enable these permissions and reflect in real time. And voila. User hits done, and they're on their merry way. So, very complex tool. You define your app names that you want the permissions for, and the timeout, and your usual dialog configurations. Another tool here is update user info. This one's especially handy to ensure we have the correct username using directory integrations like IDP and LDAP, right? Here we can see on the device we are missing a good amount of information. So once we run this on the device, it'll actually do all this in the background, of course, through a policy. We try to minimize how much we bother the user. Now that this has run, on a refresh, we'll see that it was able to find the correct username and threw it in there. Now, if we look at the logs, we'll see what's going on in the back end. It's actually doing a ton of trial and error with all the information it can pull down from the inventory record. So first name, last name, first letter, full last name, yada, 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 period, no period. You can also define a couple of domains as well if you want to throw that into the trial and error mix. So it goes through, tests everything, and the first hit it finds is going to be the correct username, and it'll throw that into our inventory record.
Yeah, and if this isn't clear what's happening, you need a directory integration with Jamf Pro, and we're using the API to query that directory, whether it's through LDAP or Cloud Identity Provider. My username is Shasta, which is not going to be on my computer, but my actual username in LDAP is chris@rocketman.tech. So it's doing a bunch of different guesses. Chris is my first name on my computer. It's Chris Schasse. So after a bunch of guesses, it was able to guess that chris@rocketman.tech is my actual username, and then it pre-filled that inside of Jamf Pro.
So, update user info. Of course, you do need your client ID and client secret to access this information. You can feed in a few email domains if you're not sure which one it might be, and define whether or not it's going to look up on LDAP or Cloud IDP, as Chris stated, and some accounts to ignore if you want to do that as well. Come on, button. There we go.
All right, and we come back to this slide. Well, how's everyone feeling? Do you want to see a couple more tools, or do you guys want to get to the Q&A? Let's get a raise of hands. Okay, I think we're going to see a couple more tools. Let's go through these ones a little bit quicker, and let's get to that Q&A, though.
All right, so rename computer, pretty straightforward. Allows you to define a ton of options for you to rename that computer. You can pull from serial number, building, whatever you want, really, asset tag, whole 9 yards. In this case, we've already defined a scheme for the name. It's going to go ahead and pull all that down. And on a refresh, whoop, we'll see computer name has now changed to serial number and username, Shasta. So I'll skip this. It's customizable. You all get the gist.
Yeah, and I'll say this with the computer rename tool. I may have over-engineered this. There's a lot of options to customize it.
Oh yeah.
Check out the wiki. A lot of stuff there. So whatever name you have on the planet, I guarantee this tool will be able to do it.
Whatever data point you want to pull in there as well.
Yeah.
Oh, rapid response is pretty neat. So sometimes you have a script you want to run immediately, can't wait around for the next Jamf check-in, right? So you use rapid response where it triggers what you need as quickly as the configuration profile is deployed to the device. This is pretty slick. So in this case here, we can see that we've defined our configuration profile. This is going to include a frequency for the script to run. And go ahead and scope this guy to our device, and we'll see that it's pretty instantaneously updated on our device, and boom, it created the file. So this was a script to just create that file to demo how quickly this tool can run any script you want, any size, on that device.
Yeah, the use case for this is you don't want to wait for the 15 or 5 minutes for that recurring check-in. So usually configuration profiles get deployed a lot quicker. This will wait to see if that configuration profile is there, and then run whatever script is inside of the configuration profile.
Super handy to run rm-rf, period. Cool. Of course, customizability, but let's keep marching through here. Upload Jamf logs, pretty sweet. Specify any files you want on the device. It'll zip them up and then throw them into any destination you want. So AWS, Google Cloud, you name it. Microsoft, which we still need to test a little bit more. But anyhow, pretty straightforward tool. I'll save you the details on this because it is very self-explanatory. But end result here is we can see it's not in our bucket on Amazon AWS, but once we run the tool, boom, our zip log file is there with all the files we had specified in one file.
Yeah, why is this tool important? You might be looking at this and being like, why do I care about this? How many times, let's get a raise of hands on how many times you had to ask a user for logs from their computer. And keep your hands up if that process was annoying. Exactly. Like the ability to just be able to go through Jamf Pro and define what files you want from the computer so you can give it to the Jamf support team or just look at them yourself. Oh my gosh, so much easier.
All right, this one's a little bit convoluted. Change static group. I'm kidding, it's very straightforward. Very literally just gives you the ability to add or remove any computer from a static group. Similar to our user privilege management, same deal. You can pick a user, promote or demote them. Very straightforward. Go ahead and define what you need, which group to remove them from. We can see that they're not in it right now. And after running, it's a long video, I'm not gonna show the video, but after running it, of course, the user is in that static group.
Yeah, I use this. Sometimes I run a script and then want to remove them from a specific group after the script is done. Or I've done this before too, where I restrict the latest macOS version, but want a button in self-service that says, join the beta for Tahoe. They click that button, it'll then add them to a static group that removes that restriction, and now they're able to download and install Tahoe. So you get that like little bit of extra buy-in from people, right?
And a bunch of additional tools. So everything's on the wiki. These tools are pretty complex, pretty simple as well. There's a whole spectrum of tools. Please do go to the wiki and let us know in issues what you prefer, what you don't, any issues you run into, of course. But yeah, these are all of our tools. Pretty large toolbox.
Yeah, and we'd love to stay in touch with you. So, please join our Mac Admin Slack channel. We love the Mac Admins Foundation. We're a sponsor of the Mac Admins Foundation. So please find Rocketman Center on the Mac Admin Slack channel. I'm at Rocketman, of course, on the Mac Admin Slack, and we have at Patrick as well. If you want to look us up there and talk to us directly. You have our emails here, chris@rocketman.tech and pat@rocketman.tech, as well as downloading the RCC version 2. If you'd like to do that, check out our GitHub. And with that, we're going to open it up to some Q&A, so we'd love to hear whatever questions you have.
Quick, give these guys a round of applause. All right, and raise your hand and I'll run you the mic. All right, we got one right here.
Yeah, hi. For the app setup helper, if you specify an app that the user doesn't have on their machine, does it skip it? Or does it present them with something that they can't fulfill the little green checkbox for?
Yeah, that's a great feature request we do. It does present them with something they cannot do the green checkbox for. So we'll wait for whatever that timeout window is, which is, I think, by default 5 minutes. But that's something we should definitely add. So we'll put that on our roadmap. Please actually put an issue in the GitHub. That would help us a lot, because I'll probably forget it.
All right, another one over here.
I didn't see any remote assist tools, and we're currently struggling with that. Do you have anything in that toolbox?
We don't have anything for remote assist. So this toolbox isn't going to be any real external tools. It's more tools that get run on the computer. If you need something to help deploy remote assist or turn certain things on, like screen recording, we can do that. But Jamf has their Jamf remote assist tool, and then you got all the various variety of remote assist tools that you can use. But if you need something to like return on remote management through anything you can do through a bash script, let us know. It's like, hey, I used to be able to do this through a bash script, but it doesn't work anymore. Please let us know. We can add that to our toolkit.
Hey guys, cool presentation. Like the tools
you.
I was seeing. This is a two-parter question. First part, do you have a tool in that toolbox that would give a self-service option for a user to have a sysdiag file generated and uploaded to their computer attachments inventory in Jamf?
Sorry, can you restate that? A sysdialog file?
Yeah, so if we're doing troubleshooting with AppleCare Enterprise, they normally
Yeah.
say, hey, can you get a sysdiag generated on the device and then give it to us? So we had to create a tool because we don't want to have to walk these C-levels and execs through the process of doing that. We gave them a single-click easy button that fires off a policy to create it and then upload it to their attachments inventory of the computer.
Yeah. Okay, this brings up a good point. The reason we made the upload Jamf logs tool the way we did, because initially we had it uploading to that attachment parts, and then Jamf was like, please do not do that. You will destroy our database. So do not add attachments through the API of logs into the attachments area. Honestly, they should probably just remove the attachments area of Jamf. So that's why we put it into another server. But we would absolutely love to add that. So open a feature request for the upload Jamf logs tool, and we can run that diagnostic and be able to upload that to your preferred distribution point.
Gotcha. We were caveated against that by AppleCare and Jamf is like, be very careful with doing that. With
Yes, I've definitely taken over some servers taken down some servers in the early days that I was doing that.
Cool. Second part, real quick, for the Backdoor Lapse tool you showed us there, is that for cryptographically enabled accounts or non? Was that just create a local admin account with no FileVault,
No, you can do it cryptographically. I mean, depending on how it's created, most of the time, the first time it's created, it's not going to have that secure token, right? So you can use a combination of the secure token sharing tool to be able to grant it a secure token, either prompting the user or using a different backdoor admin account. So sometimes you have to use these tools in conjunction to get the thing that you need. But once you're changing the password, it does keep that secure token in place the way we're changing the password. So if it has a secure token, it will keep it. If it doesn't have one, it probably isn't going to be able to grant it one unless we use the secure token sharing tool.
Does the renaming tool change all 3 host names, or is it just changing the computer name in Jamf?
It uses, so what it actually does is the Jamf computer rename binary. So Jamf has a way through the binary of being able to rename the computer, and we use that. And that actually does all 3 of the changing the host name, local host name, and computer name.
All right, we got time for a couple more questions. I see one up front.
Yeah, we got one in the back too when you're done with this one.
Got me running, huh?
Hey, Chris. So with the update user info,
Yep.
You show that it guesses a million different ways to try to get that.
Yeah.
data. What is it basing that on specifically? If you have like multiple users locally on the Mac, is it just the last user that logged in?
Yeah. So it's the current user to be last user to be logged in. Yes, that's correct. So it's not the current one. If no users logged in, it will just take the last user that's logged in, and then it just basically takes a variety of guesses that I've came up with, working with their devs of guess like all these different combinations. I think it probably has like 100 guesses that it's going through. Now, there is a danger with this tool that depending on how your usernames are set up, I mean, we are Chris@rocketman.tech. If you have multiple Chris's in your organization, you happen to have a Chris@yourcompanyname.com or whatever your domain name is, then it could potentially guess the wrong name, right? There's no real way for us to validate that, so it's not 100% certain depending on how that is, but if you have a decent naming scheme, it can work pretty well. And it can also do multiple domains. We've worked with companies that have legacy domains or like different sites, different regions around the world have different domains, so you can guess that as well.
Yeah, can you explain a little bit more about the API credential encryption bit?
Absolutely.
It looks like there's an app that does the actual encryption, is that right?
Yeah, so it's a little bit weird because the Rocketman Command Center tool, typically you deploy it through Jamf Pro to the user's computer. The Encrypt tool specifically is meant to be run, you download it on your computer that you're running things on, and then you encrypt the credentials through that. I can't 100% explain how the encryption works because I don't really understand math, but essentially because we have a compiled command line utility, we're able to protect what is encrypting that inside of there, and it can only be pulled when you're doing the Rocketman command. So when you run, if you run the Rocketman, -- client ID, -- client secret, or use a managed configuration, it'll pull that stuff from there and be able to do the magic inside of the command line utility and then spit out an asset tag or whatever it needs to.
I will add, the RCC binary doesn't have any public endpoint that you can decrypt that value. It's purely internal.
For secure token sharing, if a user has a secure token and it's logged, does the prompt take the user password in?
So can you say that again, sorry?
So for the secure token sharing with the FileVault and the Bootstrap, if I want to share the secure token with the Labs account, and user has the secure token, does it need to unlock the secure token and get the user credentials for it?
Yeah, so all right, so for secure token sharing, if you want to grant someone a secure token, you need to know the username and password of the person that has the secure token, let's say the Labs account in this case. And then also the username and password of the account you're granting the secure token to, which is weird sometimes. You're thinking, well, I should just be able to grant it if I know the username. You need to know the password. So with the lapse one, now this doesn't work with Jamf's lapse account, and I don't think that we'll ever have really a secure token. If it's a lapse account, it usually gets rid of that secure token. It does work if it's our lapse account, because we're able to pull it from an extension attribute, or we actually store that password in the keychain oftentimes. We find that that's more secure most times. So we can pull it from that keychain using one of our other tools. So that's how we grab that password using the lapse account. And then we prompt the user for their password, so then it'll bring up a prompt that will ask the user for their password, so then we can grant them a secure token. Does that answer the question?
Yes,
Okay.
but there's a follow-up as well. So the user credential that you're getting, is it stored locally on the RAM, or is it like somewhere physically that can be accessed later on by any system or attacker, basically?
That would be a better question for Patrick. I'm pretty sure we are not storing it anywhere on the RAM, hopefully.
No, it's touch and go. It's similar to how like a script will temporarily be on the computer and then be removed immediately after running.
All right, we got about 5 more minutes, so we can handle 1 or 2 more questions. Any hands up in the air? All right, if people have questions that come to them later, you guys are going to be on the expo hall, right?
Yes, we're probably going to be catching a flight pretty soon here, but we might be there for a little bit. But the rest of the Rocketman team is going to be in the expo hall to answer questions. We're also giving away a chessboard in a little bit. I don't know where that's at or what's happening, but if you signed up for the raffle, you can do that.
Well, I signed up for the raffle. I'm actually going to be there. So
awesome, perfect.
Wish me luck. Thank you, everybody. Give them one more round of applause.
Thanks, guys. You're all awesome. We love you.
All right, and if you're waiting for the next session, you do unfortunately have to leave and then come back in. Thank you, everybody, for being here.